Go, Kyle!
All right, here we are, one day post-marathon. Legs are feeling a little beat up, a little sore. Let me give you a recap of how the race went down. So, pretty okay morning, about 37 degrees or so. I got to the line pretty early. I did my normal warm-up, a little bit less than a mile, easy, some stride outs, some of those dynamic exercises. Got to the line, found the pace group for the 3-hour pace group, and then stuck with them. I think our first mile was maybe a little quick, and then we just kind of like settled in to that right at that 6:50 a mile pace, and we stuck right there for the first 10 miles or so. So everything was going good. At that point, somewhere between 10 and 11 miles, our pacer at the water stand kind of got, I don't know, discombobulated or something. So the group kind of like broke up a little bit, and I felt like I was just going to keep my stride up, keep running that 6:50 pace. And there was a group of other people running there, also at that same pace. I just figured I'd stick with them, not worry about it too much. Went through the half, I think, according to my watch, I think I was like 15 seconds off pace. But I felt like I was in really good shape still. And I don't know, sometimes the watch gives you a little bit off times. So I wasn't going to worry about it too much. I was with everybody else, again, who was trying to get to 3 hours. And then we kept running with them up until about mile, I think it was 17, 18, and then the group kind of started to splinter apart a little bit. A couple of us kind of like held back. I still run about 6:50 pace. I think a couple of the other people in that group started to pick it up a little bit, and they got ahead of us. And at that point I was feeling good. I had been fueling was going really well. My legs were starting to get a little sore. I mean, as you can expect after running for 18 miles, but generally felt pretty good. And then at 18 miles, you turn around, and instead of getting the tailwind, so we had a northwesterly wind, I guess that was coming down, you turn around and you kind of start running into that wind. And that's where it got a little more difficult. And that's also where the pacer kind of started to catch back up. So I guess there's a second pacer for the second half. He catches up with us and tries to kind of pull everybody through to that 3-hour mark. And so I basically stuck with him again until mile 22. And then he started to kind of get away from me just a tiny bit. During mile 23, there's a little bridge that kind of goes up. That's like the last kind of hill. It's a pretty flat course. So you go up that, and there was a pretty strong crosswind coming off the bridge. But I felt good going over the bridge, came down, still felt like I could really get close to that 3-hour mark. And then as soon as I turned onto the boardwalk, there's about 1.5 miles along the boardwalk, and it's just straight wind. It's 15, 18 miles an hour. And I think there's kind of where the race fell apart for me. I started to get a little bit of like cramping in my groin and my left quad. So I didn't get to the 3-hour mark. I did eventually pick it up a little bit. That very last mile, you start to get in between some buildings. The wind's not quite as bad. But there was, like I said, about 1 mile, 1.5 mile stretch maybe where you just had 18-mile-an-hour headwinds coming right at you. And that just killed my legs. I was basically done at that point. So I ended up running 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 17 seconds, which is exactly the time I ran in October at the Hartford Marathon. So not a personal best, but matches my personal best identically. So that's where we're at. Gonna take some time to recuperate. I feel good about the race. I felt like I ran a really even pace, and it had not been for the wind, I think I really do break the 3-hour mark. Coming over that bridge, I was running perfect paces up until mile 23, I think. Then I ran, like 7:15, and then there's a big mile there along the boardwalk where I think I ran 8 minutes into the wind, and then in between the buildings, I think I ran another 7:15. So if I don't have that headwind going into those last 3 miles or so, if I don't break 3 hours, I'm real close. But at this point, what can you do? Looking forward to another marathon in the fall. Keep running the longer distances. I think that's another thing I want to work on really, is just more training runs with longer miles, just to really get the time on your feet as opposed to kind of spreading it out over the week. Fewer 15-mile runs, even though they're probably important with some speed work in them, but more runs closer to that 2.5 hour, 3 hour range. So that's where we're at. 3 hours, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. We'll have to get after it again sometime in the fall, pick another race. But until then, thank you.